Hi, this is Pastor Bob Claycamp, and this is Lessons for Life. Today we're going to talk about God's love in the life of the believer. Jesus told his disciples that they were to have love one for another, just as he had loved them. And yet, so often love is something that is defined in many different ways, and people have a different idea on what that looks like in real life. One of the best places to examine what God's love looks like, because really it's God's love and not man's love one to another so much. It's agape love, God's love to man. What does that look like in the life of the believer? Well, Paul the Apostle does a great little commentary in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, and it focuses on God's love, the different aspects of God's love. And so just to read it here in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 through 8, this is the description that Paul the Apostle gives regarding God's love. Love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself, is not puffed up, does not behave rudely, does not seek its own, is not provoked, thinks no evil, does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails. Now, I've done several weddings over the last 40 years of being in ministry, and so many of the couples want to have this read at their marriage ceremony because this is like the ideal. The problem is, this describes God's love, and we can't manufacture God's love. God's love has to be given to us. We have to be filled with it from heaven, and then we can pour it out. But to try to go and manufacture each of these things is a practice in futility, because man's love falls short of these standards. And so in this series here, we're going to be looking at the qualities of God's love in the life of the believer. And so as hard as we try to meet this goal, we're going to find that we fail in every single one of these aspects, every single one of these attributes of God's love. So what's the hope? The hope is to be filled with God's love first, and then to pour out God's love after he has filled us. And that's the hope for the believer. And so in this particular Lessons for Life, it's just that reality of the fact that we cannot manufacture God's love, but he calls us to distribute God's love, and we have every opportunity to do that each day. But we first have to ask him to fill us, to saturate us, so that we can pour it out. And so that's today's Lessons for Life.